Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 20th anniversary, can you believe it, of the Peter J. Mulry Foundation Life Stars of the Future, Life Skills Through Sports program. And we are virtual. We're usually on the field. In fact, we started this program, as I said, 20 years ago in Perdido Key, Florida. And we have matriculated to Tampa 8 years ago. So this is our 20th. It seems unbelievable, except I've gotten grayer, so it makes more of a reality. So we think we have a great panel for you. We think we've got some great videos for you. But again, Pete Mulry, and I'd like everybody on the panel, which is absolutely a dynamite panel, to introduce themselves. And I'm start here to my left with Clint.
Hi, I'm Clint Hurdle, former Major League player, coach, and manager. Resident of Anna Marie Island, father of Madison, Christian, and Ashley Hurdle, wife Carla, and I'm just happy to be here. Pete, thanks for the invitation.
Oh, we're great you're here. This is exciting.
I guess that means I'm next. I'm Xavier Scruggs, former outfielder and infielder for the St. Louis Cardinals and the Miami Marlins, also international player. I played in the KBO, Mexico, Dominican. Happy to be here. I have two sons, Ezekiel and Xander, and my wife Jessica, and I live right down the street here in South Tampa.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily Glass, and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm an education coordinator in the Miami Marlins organization, and thrilled to be here after all of my youth playing both baseball and softball. I've had the opportunity to play internationally as well in some fun leagues in Little League in Tokyo and internationally in Australia. And Pete, just want to thank you for welcoming us today. So excited to share with all of you as well.
Oh, great you're here. I'm excited.
Hi, I'm Joe Carroll. I am with the Miami Marlins. My job is currently the special assignment scout with the Marlins. Tampa resident, two children, Dominic and Alexandra, married to Kim for 40 plus years now. I'm very excited to be part of Pete's program since the beginning. This thing has grown from really an infant type program to one that's truly professional, and just thrilled to be here and continuing to participate and help out the people of our community in the best way that we can.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. You know, I think what we want to do is we want to show everybody just a little bit of kind of a live feed of what we do in the Peter J. Mulry Foundation, and it's just a little montage to see what the foundation is all about. Year 7, Peter J. Mulry Foundation, Foundation Day, Life Skills Through Sports, Stars of the Future Clinic. About 150 participants. We just had some of the best instructors, coaches I've ever seen working with young people. We started a new program here, so baseball, softball, girls, boys, soccer.
I think this is a really awesome thing for kids to be able to come out here and learn about not just sport, but life skills, people skills in general. Just being able to go out here and teach them a little something about kind of how my journey went. So happy to be here, and it's always a pleasure.
This is our 7th year in Tampa putting on the clinic that is completely free for the children of Tampa Bay. Today is all about our community, doing the right things, and having really a good time. And we will be doing this again next January.
It's just an amazing opportunity for the kids to come out to this clinic every year. It gets bigger and bigger. The coaching staffs get better and better. And with Pete Mulry, he's always going to bring out quality people and quality events.
Day is over. We just kind of start planning for next year to make it better. Just thank you to everybody that made this happen, because it was a beautiful day today. I hope you enjoyed that. That was just a little montage of really what we do when we're on the field. second Saturday of January as we come indoors this time. But also, so you know a little bit about our 20 years, we've helped over 10,000 young people and parents with our life skills program during this time. We have donated $150,000 in our scholarship money, and also with our book series, Threads and Friends, that we have touched over 2,000 young people with books and mentoring programs. So it's just not about the game of baseball or softball or soccer, whatever sport you're in. It's just what we can take from that. So know that we are a very blessed foundation, and I know without the Lord's help, we wouldn't have gotten this far, our 20 years. So, you know, we ask the Lord in our prayer today to extend us 20 more years and help us help more children, more parents, especially in the world that we live in today. So I'm really excited to introduce our panel and our first life skills speaker. And I'm going to start with Clint. So if you'll go to your life skill, Clint.
Thanks, Pete. Happy to be here. Grateful and thankful for the opportunity. My life skill today will be teamwork. And I can tell you, somebody spent 45 years in a uniform. I've spent the last 16 months at home. I've hit pause. And I've had to reacclimate myself with teamwork. It was a bit of an obstacle course when we started off together. 2 teenagers, a wife, 2 dogs in a house, myself. It was a lot. And we actually have embraced the term that teamwork truly does make the dream work in our house. You know, people have told me in the past, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, work together. And it's become true in our household. I first introduced to my best definition and understanding of the word teamwork was by my high school football coach, our offensive coordinator, Travis Aiken. Travis told me, Clint, you're the quarterback, and if it's all about you, it gets boring. He said, I want you to think about a symphony orchestra. There's a flute player. If the flute played for an hour, that would get boring. If the drum guy went for an hour, that would get boring. Whoever plays one instrument for an hour get boring. We put all these instruments together. He said, it's beautiful music. And the maestro has his eyes on his team and his back to the crowd. So when you focus on one another and not the gratitude or the appreciation of the crowd, you all get a chance to succeed. But 3 questions I've always asked my players, my coaches, myself, and even in our family, to give you the chance to be the best you can be, to be the best in the framework of a team. Can I trust you? Can you make me better? And do you care about me? The sooner we can get those 3 questions answered for one another, we have a chance to fulfill the strengths of the team, the capabilities of the team, just to be the best team we can be. So in wrapping up, thanks to Joe. I look forward to hearing from you, Emily, Xavier, and Pete again for being here. And hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you, because teamwork, it is essential.
Joe, I know you're a big proponent of teamwork. You want to give us your thoughts?
I truly think that for anything of enormity or even simple tasks to take place, it takes more than one person. I know that I'm a lot better in the room when I have other people giving me feedback, and I know that I'm a lot better as a person when I have others around me to help guide and direct me. I want to compliment, actually, the parents for having their kids in the games that we're talking about, in baseball and softball and soccer, because it is on the playground where you have to. If I'm a pitcher and I throw the perfect pitch and I get that weak ground ball to shortstop, but he doesn't pick it up, throw it accurately, and the first baseman doesn't play, then the pitch is no good. So teamwork is essential in my opinion, and I really think it's an important life skill.
Thank you. How about yourself, being with the Cardinals, Xavier? Because I know they're a big proponent of teamwork. Absolutely. What's some of your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think you bring up the Cardinals and also the Marlins, who I played for. And when I think it's about some of the best teams that I've been on, everybody's working together. You know, everybody kind of puts their ego to the side, and they're able to understand, okay, if I'm able to help out the next person and that person's able to help out me, the whole team is going to be better in the whole sense of everything. So when I think about the teams that I played on, it wasn't about me. There was no selfishness. When I think of the best teams, it's all about what can I do for somebody else. And just like Clint said, can somebody else trust me to do my own job? And can I trust somebody else to do their job? When everybody does that together, it's best for everybody.
Absolutely. And I've kind of been with Clint along the way that I've always thought of coaching or managing as you're directing a symphony or a play or whatever it is. Because if you don't have the strings in coordination with the violins, you're in trouble. So I totally get that. So we're going to go on to a little video now for you folks to kind of another look at teamwork.
Hey kids, this is Coach Powell of the Chicago White Sox, and I'm here today to talk to you about teamwork. Now, I've been a part of several championship teams, but we could have never won any of these titles without teamwork. Now, the dream of every team you play on is to win the big game or win the championship, but without teamwork, winning the big game is nearly impossible. But by practicing your life skills day in, day out, and playing as a team, you can turn the impossible into possible. First rule, your team must have a common goal. That means everyone works together to be their very best on the field at all times. Second rule, you must respect your teammates. You can do this always by encouraging your teammates and by becoming a positive force when a teammate hits a home run or if they strike out or make an error. Always encourage them and show respect. The third goal, be a selfless player, not selfish, selfless player, and put your team's goals first. There's no I in team, so therefore you have to work together at all times. And finally, you must learn to work together on and off the field and show cooperation during that. If your team works together, your team will get better and better. And always remember, kids, teamwork makes the dream work.
Beautiful. I thought Coach Powell did a marvelous job, especially if you look at his 3 goals and you work with that. And I'm going to just direct that comment to the parents, that if you just keep your child accountable for those type of goals, you will work into a teamwork philosophy. So I think that's really important. Our next speaker is going to be Joe Caro, and Joe's going to address friendships and relationships. Joe, you're on.
Yeah. For me, it's all about relationships. Be it a relationship with God or a relationship with other human beings. I really like to go by the golden rule that I want to be treated in the same exact manner that I want to treat others in the same exact manner that I would like to be treated. Our friends start out usually from our neighborhood, be it, as in my case, in New York City when I was a kid, growing up in a building, or on the block that I lived in when I was in Tampa. And then from there, we go. Ultimately, in my opinion, in order to grow a relationship, in order to grow a friendship, it's about time. I could say that Xavier is a friend of mine, but if I don't spend any time with him, then I'm truly not building a relationship. The other thing is, I've been a big believer in this. A lot of, and this is more directed towards the parents, who I surround my kids with. To me, as a parent, it was very important for me to have my kids around others who had similar values and wanted to accomplish similar things in their life. And also, I think my best friends, not only when I was 6 years old or when I'm 62 years old like I am now, they're the ones who tell me, Joe, you're doing really good. But they're also going to tell me, hey, Joe, you're not doing very good. Going out and taking something out of a store that's not mine, my good buddy told me, hey, you need to put that back, man. Or as an adult, making a decision that is not wise. For a true friend will confront me and tell me that's not it. So in conclusion, I really think that for us to get the most out of life, we need to embrace. And then the last thing is, in 1975, I met Pete Mulry, and look where I'm at today. 1988, I met Clint Hurdle. And if ever you would have told me that in 2020 I'd be sitting at this table with these two men, how cool is that?
I think that's real cool. And I think that that's what it's all about. And so, Emily, you got some thoughts on that?
Joe, I love hearing from you about the meaning of relationships. And not only that, I love calling you a friend and having this relationship. One thing that, in terms of a life skill, I want to encourage all youth, baseball, softball, parents, and children to think about is you can find a friend anywhere. So, yeah, Joe and I might have a small, some differentials, be it in terms of aspects of our identity or age, but we truly do have a relationship and a friendship. And I think one of the most beautiful parts of baseball and softball is that you get to be friends and grow from people all over the world and all around you. And I'm sure that when Joe and Clint met, they probably weren't in the same dugout. Unlike Pete and Joe, but you still, you take note of what someone does, you learn from them in close relationship and by observing them. So I think that's a really unique thing about this sport and the world as well.
Xavier, thoughts?
Yeah, I think Emily hit it right on the nose. I think finding people that you can surround yourself with who are going to build you up, build up your confidence, especially as a young athlete or as a young student. You need people in your corner that are going to help lift you up in multiple different ways. And I think that's important when it comes to your confidence. I think a lot of times today, in today's society, a lot of kids' self-confidence is down. So make sure you're finding yourself, surrounding yourself with the right people. Also, people who are going to challenge you, people who aren't going to take it necessarily easy on you, but they're going to make sure, okay, I'm going to hold this guy accountable and make sure he's doing what he needs to do. And just the last thing is surrounding yourself with people who are always going to love you. I think love is a big thing that we need a lot to be surrounded with today, especially with everything that's going on. So make sure that the people around you are the ones that really love you and looking out for the best interest of you.
Absolutely. Oh, some great points. We're going to go to our next video, and this is an instructional video on pitching that Doug Weckler does, and he does a great job taking a couple of major league pitchers and showing you the best techniques that you can use young pitchers out there today. So here we go.
All right, let's send things over to Doug at the demo area with a closer look on how these two pitchers get their jobs done.
Yeah, look, the reality is these guys have very similar stuff. Both of them sit around 95 to 100 miles an hour. Devastating off-speed pitches, but mechanically there's a little bit of difference in between both of them. We got a video right here, and I want you to look at their live video here and just compare to start. You're going to look at Glass now. He has a higher leg lift, a very quick tempo compared to a normal pitcher, and he's got a full-on frontal delivery to where he's extending all the way out. And then you look at Garrett Cole, he's more compact. He's got a little bit more of a deliberate laid kick, a little slower toward home plate. And there you see he does a great job of repeating his delivery because he's so compact. All right, so both pitchers do it a little bit differently, but there are some similarities in between both mechanics. The first thing with a power pitcher's delivery, and really any pitcher's delivery, it starts with timing. The timing, what I mean by that is when you break your hands from the glove, okay? And the ideal timing is when the leg is up. When that leg goes down, you have to have this ball come out of the glove. It's almost like your glove can push the ball out. So you're down here. As soon as that leg goes down, you have to separate. By doing so, it allows you to stay on time and get on top of the pitch, driving it downhill. Now, if you're late on separation, if your timing's not right, you start leaking forward, and then you bring the ball out of the glove and you start elevating pitches because you're not on time. You can't get on top of that ball, driving it downhill. So first thing they do very well, their timing. Second thing they both do, and remember, they're power pitchers, 95 to 100, so they have to utilize their whole body, meaning their lower half. They utilize their legs and the power of the lower half by one main thing, leading with the hip. So when their body is up, right, and they're moving toward home plate, they lead with the hip, generating the power from that lower half, engaging the lower half. Another thing they do with the lower half, stay closed. As a right-handed pitcher, their belly button is facing third base as long as possible, because if they rotate too early, the arm slot drops, they get around the pitch. You've talked and we've heard from Tyler Glasnow now before about his mechanics when he's not linear. He's talking about staying linear, meaning he stays closed all the way through home plate. One more time is basically you're driving with the hip through home plate. Last second, you open up with those hips, explode through home plate. let's see right here. We're going to go side by side on this angle. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Glass now first. Watch when he comes down, the timing, right? He's separating his hands, separating the ball out of the glove. Secondly, the hip. Remember, he's leading with the hip, so his body weight is staying back. And then third, you see the hips explode at the very end. He doesn't rotate too early. Instead, he stays closed. You're going to see it again here on Garrett Cole. They're very similar things. Remember, the timing is first. Watch for his glove. Watch for his hand. The hand breaks when the leg goes down. Now watch his hips. You can tell his hips, he's leading with his hips right there, but watch when he opens up. The very last second, he opens up and explodes through home plate. Okay? Now remember, these guys are throwing 95 to 100. That's how they do it. They do it with their lower half, and they do it with timing. If you're a young kid, if you're a pitching coach and you're teaching pitching, these are two keys that you can teach any young kid, and they're really going to help two things. They're going to help their velocity. They're going to help with location, actually three things: velocity, location, but you're actually going to protect your arm as well by using more of your lower half.
I tell you, Doug Weckler did an excellent job just taking the breakdown of Tyler Glasgow and Garrett Cole and really showing young players how they need to pitch, especially holding that hip in, how to deliver it, how to get those legs going. So really a great instructional video. So parents, just kind of be aware of those things you can help your son with. And players, when you're watching the game on TV, get some pointers that you can carry on. Xavier, we're going to go to you next on discipline and hard work. So it's yours.
Yeah, I think we kind of switched it around. We're going to do accountability and responsibility, which kind of go hand in hand with those things, if I'm correct. But I think for me, you have to start with accountability, which is justifying your decisions, looking yourself in the mirror and being able to say, okay, am I doing what I need to be doing? And a lot of you guys can relate to this, being baseball people, especially you, Clint. I remember a specific story where I was in AAA, and I had transitioned from the infield to playing outfield, so it was a new position for me. So I'm working on that a little bit, but I'm more focused on my offensive game. I'm playing really well. I feel like I deserve an opportunity to go up to the major leagues. And so after a while, I start seeing, okay, my manager's taking me out in the 7th, 8th inning for a defensive replacement. And so one day I was tired of it. I went straight into his office, stormed in there, and I said, hey, what's going on? Why do you keep taking me out of the game? And he said, Xavier, honestly, I can't trust you right now to be defensively solid late in the game, especially when we have a close game. And for me, it was kind of an eye-opening experience. It made me look in the mirror and say, okay, if this is something that's holding me back from being a major league player, what do I need to do to get better? And I realized I was focused more on my offensive game instead of my all-around game and getting better defensively. So I looked in the mirror and said, you know what, I need to hold myself accountable for the decisions I've made in the past and say, let's focus on this defense more so nothing can hold me back from playing in the major leagues. So that was I'm all about looking at yourself in the mirror when it comes to accountability and responsibility. And it goes hand in hand because responsibility is not putting the blame on somebody else. It's being able to say, okay, I understand the mistakes that I made, and I'm going to move forward and get better at those things. And another thing that I wrote down just so I didn't forget is that being able to think for yourself is being responsible. Don't always expect somebody else to do something for you, and you take it upon yourself to understand, okay, this is what I need to do.
Great. Clint, what's your feelings on something?
It's a great topic, and it's a great subject, and Xavier really kind of laid it out in layman's terms. Really, when we can keep things simple, when we can keep things easy to understand and identify, we're all better served. We've got some dynamic going on in life, socially, and in sport, old school, new school. You know what I'm a big proponent of? Let's just all be in school. Let's all just be in school. Let's be accountable and responsible to one another. It's not my way or your way, it's our way. Let's figure this out. Let's have some bipartisan, cohesion in our mindset. When we truly don't care who gets the credit, we all have a better opportunity to perform because there's no telling what a group of individuals can accomplish when they're committed to one another and nobody cares who gets the credit. It's not self-serving.
Joe, how about you?
The opportunity to accomplish something when we work together is limitless. The only limitations are when we just seek for our own self-gratification.
Beautiful. We're going to go to another video, and this is a little different. We're going to kind of go to the softball girls. Mitch Wilkins and his daughter kind of talks to us a little bit about throwing and fielding. Really interesting.
Hi, I'm Coach Mitch Wilkins of the Lane Lakes High School softball program, 2017 state champs, and National High School Coaching Staff of the Year. With me is my daughter, Tori Wilkins, a four-year college player and two-time first-team all-conference selection. She is now the assistant coach at the University of Wisconsin Parkside. So first we want to thank Coach Pete Mulry for inviting us to be a part of the Life Skills Through Sports Clinic and the Pete Mulry Foundation. We're going to talk to you about throwing and fielding mechanics. First, with throwing mechanics, we want to get a good grip on the ball, taking the seams, find that big C on the ball, and putting your fingers across those seams, which will help you make that good backspin flight of the ball that's going to be straighter and truer for you. When we start the throw, you're going to have your shoulders and your hips lined up. As you separate the ball from the glove, you're going to make sure you face the ball away from you with your bend in your elbow. Your front side, you're going to point at your target either with your glove, your wrist, or your elbow. As we start our throw, you're going to step at your target. As your hips start coming around, you want to make sure that you don't throw from back here and come across your body from the side, which is going to end up hurting your arm and your shoulder. What you want to do is, as the ball gets out in front of you, you're going to fingers down and across your body to get that good, straight, strong, true throw. Also, as you're doing that, as your body's turning, you're going to pull your glove into your chest, which is going to help you with that rotation and getting that good, strong throw off your back foot with your laces facing forward. As we start talking about fielding mechanics, the three most important things we want to focus on are getting your butt down, getting your glove on the ground, and then your hand over the ball. As you get your butt down, you still want to be in a balanced athletic position so that you can make the play and come up and throw. Your glove is going to be on the ground because you don't want the ball to get under you, and then you adjust up to any hops that you may have, and then your hand comes over the ball in the glove to keep it in the glove, and that you can start feeling for the laces as you come up and have to make that throw. We also like to use the letter T as a symbol of where your feet go and where you're going to field the ball out in front of you. So again, your butt is going to go down, good balanced, glove out in front and on the ground, and then your hand comes over the ball to field it. And then as you come up to make that throw, you're going to stay in that area, not moving off to the side, but coming up, turning your shoulders to the place that you're going to throw the ball, and then we go back to our throwing mechanics.
You can see why he won the state championship at Land Lakes High School a couple of years ago. And by the way, his coaching staff was voted the #1 coaching staff in America. I believe it was in 2017, 2018. So congratulations to them. And by the way, folks, that's the kind of coaches you got to go look for. You know, who can take your son or daughter to another level, and that's so important. And by the way, you Facebook friends out there, y'all send in some questions. Hope we can answer them when we go to the Q&A at the end of the show. So kind of interact with us. We need all the help we can get. So I'm going to kind of pass it on now to Emily. Emily, you're up.
Okay, great. Well, the life skill I'm here to talk to all of you today about and share with our panel as well is at its core commitment. There's different aspects of commitment that I'm going to touch on. One of them is trust. But when I think of commitment first, one way that I define that for myself and for my team that I'm on is it's like making a promise. When you sign up to be on a team or play shortstop or be a pinch hitter, you're making a promise not only to yourself but also to your team, to your community, to your family, that you're going to show up and you're going to do your best. So when I think of commitment, I think of that promise, and I also think about the values that you represent in serving your team and your community in that role. So I think that sometimes, I know when I was a player, I kind of stayed focused in the commitment to myself. But it's really important that you take a step back and you always remember it's not just you. You're committing to your teammates, to everyone. It's the person at the end of the bench and right next to you. I'm excited to hear kind of what it means to the rest of my panel as well today, but I just want to encourage all of our viewers out there to really think selflessly in that commitment. And anytime you take the field, remember that you represent more than just you. You represent your school, your community, and of course the team that you're wearing their logo and their name right across your chest. So take value and pride in that, and I'm sure if you really value that, you'll go very far.
Super, well said. Xavier, I know you kind of feel the same way along those lines, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Emily, that was amazing. And all the things that I think about are those things when I think of commitment and trust. And also just having goals and understanding that if you're able to put goals out in front of yourself, don't be distracted by anything that's going to get in the way of those goals. I feel like a lot of times as athletes, as young students, whatever it may be, like there's so many distractions going on in our world right now. But if I know if I'm committed to something, I most likely will have the best opportunity to not be distracted, and I'll be able to stick toward those goals and those values and everything else in between. Also, just being, and like you said, being focused on commitment, all the things that we're talking about, relationship, trust, accountability, just understanding that, okay, that's the thing that's above all else. Let me lock in on that.
Clint, what's your thoughts on that?
To build trust, we need to be transparent. You know, and as a former manager, when our team would play well, I wanted to be a window that everybody can just see through me and see the team, see the players, the coaches. Now, when we didn't play well, I need to be a mirror. I need to take it all. It need to be all on me so I keep the distractions off the coaches and off the players. With trust, things work better, they're more efficient, and they cost less. Ask anybody in business. When you had somebody micromanaging a project, it takes twice as long and it costs twice as much. So actions will always speak louder than words. When you are committed to somebody, you're focused, you're steadfast, you're persistent. The jersey was always symbolic to me of a couple things. The jersey, the name on the front represented the city you played for. You need to represent the city you played for. Those people that live there, they work hard, they roll their sleeves up, they're spending hard-earned money to come watch us play. That name on the back, that's your home, that's your family, that's mom, dad, brother, sister, whoever it was that raised you. So that's your commitment to me. Every time I put that jersey on, I used to think about that commitment.
Beautiful, so well said. I want to go to, I think, one of the best instructors that I've seen on hitting in a long time. And you see him as a broadcaster with the Tampa Bay Rays, Orestes Estrada, and just the way he approaches the little bitty things, basic hitting for young people. I think he does a marvelous job. So we're going to go to Orestes right now.
I've been looking forward to this demo basically all week. Why? Because it's Austin Meadows, a guy that's just the hottest hitter in all of baseball right now. And he does so many great things, fundamentally sound. There's a lot of keys to it, but I'm going to key on 5 of his important things. Let's take a look at Austin Meadows' swing. And basically, we're going to look from bottom up, not top to bottom, bottom up. First thing you're going to see is the heel right there. Why is the heel up? It creates balance for him. He wants that weight shift on the back. And then he also wants to be on the balls of his feet, not on the heel, but you want to be on the balls of your feet. And then watch how smooth, how short the stride is. That is just textbook right there. Not going very long. It's just a nice short stride. What does that do? Keeps the body still, everything still, ready to track that ball and explode. Another thing that he does that you can think of Mookie Betts, actually, is the bat toggle. Watch how that bat kind of goes back and forth, but at the point of him getting ready to hit, it's at the massive hitting position right there. Hands close to his ear, and then he explodes. He's not toggling as the pitcher is being let go of the ball. So I love that right there. And then the next thing is so key to his swing. Watch his head stay so still. Look at the eyes tracking that ball. Look at the right shoulder and his chin right on there. So all 4 of those things kind of from bottom up lead to this beautiful swing. Knob in the back going after the ball, keeps his hands inside his body, keeps his eyes down, doesn't look up. In fact, he tries to do a no-peek type of swing. That's a swing where you don't basically look up as you hit it. And then he's also so strong with the bottom hand. Everything right now is leading to one of the best, sweetest, most fundamentally sound swings in all of baseball. Austin Meadows. I tell you what, Rich, I'm loving watching this kid because it's not only great, but it's also teachable. So you can know what to watch for Austin Meadows and all of his keys.
Super. I thought Orestes did a super job. And why I just have a second here, you know, things happen as we make plans, and it's happened to us on this panel today. I just want to give some condolences out. I know Orestes Destrada lost his grandmother, and he had to go to Miami. He was going to be part of the panel, and also Michael Givens losing his grandmother. And we send our prayers and condolences to you. And again, thanks for Xavier hopping in here and being a pinch hitter. And I'm going to be a little bit of a pinch hitter off the bench here too, because I'm going to say some things about discipline and hard work. I'm going to tell you a little story that when I wrote my first book called Conversations in the Seventh Inning of My Life, I talked about. And that was the ability of when I was a young man, my dad's played in the minor leagues with the Cardinals back in the day, and I really mean back in the day. And he really was fundamental teaching me, you know, we had a little Philco TV. Not many people on the panel remember Philco TVs, but and so, you know, we would watch the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants, and he would teach me how to do certain things. And so really the knowledge of the game I got from my dad. And he really instilled with me to be good at anything. You got to work hard at it. You know, he was one of those gentlemen that every morning he woke up at 6 o'clock and took his lunch pail with him and be able to do that. My mom was different. She taught me about discipline. She was a Broadway fanatic. And at 8, 9, and 10, she would drag me from New Jersey into the city, and we would go watch those. And I'd say, Mom, how do they learn all these lines? And how do they learn all of these, you know, dance steps? What's going on? So she said, rehearsal. She said, Pete, it's all about rehearsal. And when the curtain goes up, it's all about the actors and the dancers. So I'm going to tell you, by the way, if you played for me or if you worked with me in any form, that's what it was about. It was about rehearsal, and then the curtain goes up, and it's the players, it's the actors, it's the dancers. And I want to tell parents that's important. Let your kids be the players, the actors, and the performers, and get out of their way a little bit. I'm going to kind of go to Emily. Emily, how do you feel about that?
Well, one thing that kind of caught my attention, Pete, was when you're talking about rehearsal and the hard work that goes into a production like that, or the hard work that comes before you walk up to the plate anytime in AAA. And one thing that I kind of want to say to all the listeners out there is the thing about hard work is that you don't always want to do it, and that's okay. You don't always want to wake up at 5 in the morning and go to practice or get in the car and drive to that game. But when you make that commitment to yourself and to your team, it means that you endure through those hard moments. So I have a friend that's an actor, and it's really similar to the work ethic that goes into that is so similar to our game. And I want to say to the parents as well, you know, you don't always have to want to wake up and commit to your kid. I'm sure you identify with that for those early morning games, but thank you for supporting them in that way. And the more work you put into it, the more joy will come out of it.
Beautiful. Clint, thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts run to my father when it comes to hard work and discipline. My dad would repeatedly remind me, Clint, wherever you go, whatever you do, there's going to be people that are going to be smarter. There's going to be people that have better skills. However, don't let anybody outwork you. Don't let anybody ever outwork you. Discipline yourself, and others won't have to discipline you. And that's something I learned repeatedly over the last 63 years, and I'm relearning with my teenagers. Unconditional love comes down to that hard work and discipline piece, because I'll tell my kids, I love you. Your behavior I'm not happy with right now. We need to surround ourselves with truth tellers, not bobbleheads. You know, when that comes to discipline, I had people in our clubhouse that would discipline me, keep me accountable and responsible. But the hard work, there's nothing. Normally, the best players I coached or watched play were also the hardest workers. It's not a coincidence. There's not dust or a wand you can hit those people with, and it just happens. There's time, there's effort, and there's energy put into it. Commitment and sacrifice.
Beautiful. At this time, I'm going to go to a really renowned educator, Joe Perez, who's kind of has done it all: player, coach, administrator, principal, and he shares some thoughts, and I think he really directs the thoughts to the parents. So here we go.
Good morning. My name is Joe Perez, and I'm the education coordinator for the New York Yankees. I've spent my entire life in education as a teacher and a coach and as a principal, and as a parent and a grandparent, I wanted to share with each of you the importance of education. Not that you don't know that, but in today's world, I'm hoping that our parents are creating a structured environment for their children, because learning life skills will serve their children far greater than just the dream of playing video games, or perhaps the rare opportunity to play professional sports. I would like to offer these old school suggestions to you as parents. Spend time each day making sure that you take an interest in what your children are doing in school, and ask them, what did they learn? How were their friends? Did they have any problems in school today? Secondly, make sure that you structure time for them to work on things at home that are not video related or in front of a computer. Take them outside, play games with them, spend time with them. And finally, make time for them to read. Even before they go to bed, encourage them to read something that they have a great interest in, because we know that reading is the key to future success in life, much more so than the dream of just playing a sport. So if you can teach them the idea of structure and discipline and the significance of doing the little things every day correctly, you're going to raise young people that are going to be productive citizens in life. Thank you.
Beautiful. I think Joe Perez kind of summed it all. I tell you, and I think the biggest problem sometimes is that parents, they want to do some great things. They just don't know how to do those things. And I think Joe kind of said it very succinctly. So great job, Joe. Thank you. Before we go to some Facebook questions, just kind of a final thought from the panelists before we go to the questions of what you thought so far, Clint. What kind of jumps out
The
at you?
great character skills that we're trying to build and remind and share. The one thing I would just add, whenever we're talking about a skill development training, when individuals take on tasks, the one thing I just remind my players, I remind my coaches, don't compare. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. You're unique, you're individual, God doesn't make any junk. You have skills and abilities that are needed on this team for us to perform at our best level. Big star, small player, we're going to need both of you at times, and you're going to pick each other up. When you compare, two things happen. Both of them aren't any good. One, you become envious of the other person's skills, or your skills are better, you become prideful of yours. Neither works. It's just not meant to be that way. So I would really just mention that to share with your kids. And folks, you don't need to compare your kid to somebody else's kid either.
Xavier, thought?
Man, this has been instrumental for me, and I'm sure all the people watching out there. I think one of the biggest things is everything that we talked about today is building success inside and outside of the game. And I think that's important to remember at a youth age and an adult age is we're all trying to come together for a common goal, and that's to be successful in anything that we do. The one thing that I have for the kids and the parents too is like, don't stop asking questions. Always figure out a way to get better and continue building yourself for the long run. There's going to be moments where we get knocked down, but always keep moving forward and never stop learning. And that's what I have.
Beautiful. Emily?
My final thought is just about falling in love with the game. When you or whatever that passion is, and when you commit and fall in love with that new position or whatever new activity or work you're doing, that's when you're going to make amazing strides, and it's going to be contagious for your teammates and your community around you. So just love the work and love the process, and great things will come.
Beautiful. Joe?
My favorite player of all time is Roberto Clemente, not only because of what he did on the field, but for what he did off the field. My favorite quote, anytime you have an opportunity to make a difference in this world and do not, then you are wasting your time on the earth. I can't tell you, it doesn't matter if you're 6 or if you're 60, an act of kindness for another human being is something we all can do.
Beautiful. Some great thoughts here. We've got some great Facebook questions, and I'm going to kind of go to those. And Xavier, I'm going to start for this because a young man asked, what is the hardest thing for a major league player to understand and develop?
Yeah, I think one of the toughest things is understanding baseball is such an individualized sport within a team sport. So kind of balancing that level between what do I need to do to get better individually that's going to eventually help the team. So I think that that's one of the tougher things to kind of mentally go through as you grind through a 162-game season.
Right.
Okay, what can I focus on that's going to help me? But also, what can I do that's going to lift up the team? What can I do in the dugout that's going to, okay, let me pat this guy on the back, make sure I'm encouraging him. He may be having a tough game. So it's not all about yourself, but understanding it's about a team aspect. So navigating that line is tough sometimes.
Okay. Clint?
For me, and I heard this term a long time ago, it was explained to me when my son started karate. I said, son, what'd you learn here? He goes, well, Dad, you won't believe it. They gave me a robe, and they gave me a white belt. And I go, okay, what's the white belt mean? He says, you won't believe it. It means I get a chance to learn everything. I had never in all my life thought about a white belt meaning a chance to learn everything. I thought it meant like, dude, you know nothing. But how he flipped his own lens, how he flipped my lens, and how I've used that moment as a teaching point on down, we all should be living as white belts. We all should continue to work to be lifelong learners. There's things I learned in this last year, and I'm sure many of us have learned in this last year that we didn't know about ourselves. We know about our society, but let's use that experience for good, for betterment, for the improvement of not just ourselves, but to share with others. When you can become a hope broker and an arm lifter, you're on to something pretty special.
Beautiful. Next question. What other sports will help complement 12-year-old sons and daughters as they develop better for baseball and softball? I mean, like, what other sports would you recommend? Because a lot of the time today we've gone to this one sport deal when we should be kind of being multi-sport people.
Yeah, definitely. I think it of course that's an individualized question, so it depends on the tools that the child and the youth have specifically. I'll tell you from my own experience, I also played basketball and soccer, and those more agility sports help me, gain speed, learning to change direction, and those really refine my skills at shortstop and catcher. So I'd encourage another team sport like basketball or soccer, but whatever you're called for, go for it.
Joe, what's your thoughts? Because you were a high school quarterback, right?
Correct. Personally, I am all for playing as many sports or being involved in as many things as you can possibly be. I think from a physical standpoint, there's some development that's going to take place that if all I do is baseball, will never take place. Also, how about the friendships and life skills that I can learn by either being in the drama club, being in the math club, as well as being on the basketball, the football, the hockey, whatever it is. Even to this day as a scout, I can tell you, for the vast majority of the better players that are drafted are multiple sport guys. Maybe at the very end, they decide to concentrate on the one sport. But the truth of the matter is, they're the best athlete, just like Clint was the dude back in Merritt Island High School who played multiple sports. That's still taking place in 2020. I really want to encourage you. I know from my own children's experience, we had them different time of the year meant different sport. And then when they got into high school, choose what you want to really hone in on. So I really want to encourage both mom, dad, abuelo, whoever the person is, to encourage your child to do as many things as they want to.
Joe, I'm going to stay with you here on the next question because I know you feel kind of strong on this. How do you help players or children get real expectations? Because some of the worst things we can do with kids is have unreal expectations.
Yeah. Everybody, it seems, thinks that their kid's going to be the next. Well, in my own mind, I was delusional, too. I thought I was going to be the next Tom Seaver until I went off to college and I found that everybody threw as hard as I did and actually had a better breaking ball. So I think that's a hard thing to do. You want to encourage your kid, but you also want to be realistic also. As way back when I was a high school coach in the early 1980s, I would tell my guys, you really think you're going to be the next Wade Boggs or Dwight Gooden or whoever it is? These guys are really exceptional players. I think to Clint's point, be the best you can be is really what our goal should be.
Beautiful. Xavier, comment?
Yeah, I was actually going to touch on Clint's point earlier, too, is like the comparison aspect of it. What we can control is being able to get better every single day. And as an athlete, that should be your ultimate goal. How can I get better every single day without comparing myself to other people? And I think when you keep the focus on that, that's when you'll skyrocket. The sky's the limit.
We can't do this really without the help. We are a nonprofit, but if we don't have profits, we can't do this. And I just, after 20 years, we've had some great help from sponsors. So I just want to, one that I really want to point out is TECO, Tampa Electric. We would not have had to start in Tampa 8 years ago if it wasn't a start from Tampa Electric, because they got us going, and they got a gentleman who is going into foundation work with no dollars. So I had a little faith, and I met some great people, and they got me started. And another great shout out to Oglethorpe, and Oglethorpe was really our donation, our largest donation that's been with us 4 or 5 years, that got our Threads and Friends book series going, and just have just done a tremendous job for us. So also, and I'm just going to mention these folks, Angeline Wishes, which was the group, was my former wife who has passed away. She was the one that got me started in this 20 years ago, and so thank you. And also another group called the 100 Men and Women Making a Difference in Tampa Bay. Also Tony Orgiz and his accounting firm in Miami, Picard Richard, Truist Bank, Tampa Bay Rays, Tampa Parks and Recreation, New Age Regenics, Prado Enterprises, the Tampa Bay Sports Club, and Jack's Advertising and Printing. Without these folks, we couldn't make it work, folks. We really couldn't. So a thank you. Also, I wanted to thank just personally Beth Hoover, the principal of Ballast Point Elementary, who without her, we're here in Ballast Point Elementary today in a older kind of library media room, and it's got such a neat vibe in this room. It's really cool. So she's my guardian angel. She sits on the board of directors for the Peter J. Mulry Foundation, and I think without her, this doesn't happen this morning, and Mulry doesn't get here this morning. So thank you, Beth. And just to kind of tie up, again, we are, and because of a lot of things, we had a lot of sponsors not be able to sponsor this year, and we get that. But we are going to put together a golf tournament that'll take place March 29th at Carrollwood Elementary, and that's going to be Carrollwood Elementary, Carrollwood Golf and Country Club. You see where my head is. I'm a former teacher, and we're going to do that. We have the ability to go in and on our website, the peterjmulryfoundation.org website, to get a foursome, a twosome, and a single, and also to be able to get whole sponsors to do this. Because what we're going to do is we just need some dollars to do next year and keep going with our project. So we thank you. We thank all the panelists for coming. Thank you for doing it. Thank the cameramen. Thank our foundation people. It's been great. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for this to happen. Jake.